All right, today we're going to dive into a really old fable from Aesop. It's one of those stories that uses a tiny, tiny creature to tell a huge story about, well, us, about human nature. And it really makes you wonder, can a person's basic instincts ever really change?
So, have you ever just stopped and watched a line of ants? I mean, they're always so busy, right? Just carrying stuff, hoarding everything they can find. Ever wonder why they do that? Well, this old myth has a pretty wild explanation. And believe it or not, it has nothing to do with insects at first. It actually starts with people. Okay, so to really get why ants are the way they are, we've got to go back in time. We need to look at who they used to be, which was, believe it or not, a group of farmers who had a major problem. The story goes that way back, the creatures we see as ants today, they weren't insects at all. They were people. They were farmers, working the soil, and everything they had, their whole life, was tied up in the crops they grew.
But here's where the problem starts. This was the real heart of their issue. No matter how much they grew, they were never happy with it. They were just totally eaten up with envy, always looking over the fence and thinking, man, my neighbor's stuff is so much better than mine.
And look, this wasn't just some harmless jealousy. Oh no, it pushed them to do some pretty bad stuff. They'd stare at the fields next door, absolutely convinced the grass was greener, the corn was taller, you name it. And so, what did they do? Whenever they got the chance, they'd sneak over, steal their neighbor's hard work, and hide it all away in their own barns.
Now, all of this greed, this constant stealing, it didn't just fly under the radar. No. Someone with a, let's say, much better view was watching all of this unfold, and he was not happy about it. Not at all.
And that someone was Jupiter, the king of the gods himself. Yeah. From way up high, he could see everything going on down on Earth, and this specific, nasty kind of behavior really got under his skin.
And we're not talking just a little bit annoyed here. The story makes it super clear. He was completely disgusted. That word really says it all, right? It shows how deep his disappointment went. He didn't just see this as a crime, he saw it as a fundamental flaw in humanity.
So when a god gets that disgusted, you know something big is about to happen. A permanent, dramatic change was coming. These farmers, well, they were about to get a punishment that would change absolutely everything for them.
Yeah, there was no calming him down. The fable calls it absolute fury. He had reached his breaking point. He decided it was time to teach a lesson, a really big one that people would see and remember forever.
And just like that, in a flash of divine anger, Jupiter brought down the hammer. It was quick, it was final. He transformed all of those greedy farmers into ants, the very same tiny creatures we see scurrying around today.
Now this is the whole point of the story, right here. Jupiter changed their bodies, okay? He shrunk them down from people into little tiny insects. But, and this is the kicker, he didn't touch their minds. He left their greedy, hoarding nature exactly as it was.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. This is the part of the story that connects that ancient punishment to what we still see happening every single day.
You see, the fable basically says there's a direct line from then to now. The reason you see ants marching through a field or, across your countertop, it's because they're still running on that same old software. That greedy, hoarding nature never went away.
I mean, just think about it for a second. They march into what is essentially someone else's field. Could be a cornfield, could be your picnic blanket. And what do? They gather up the fruits of someone else's labor. A farmer's wheat, the crumbs from your sandwich, and then they haul it all back to their own place to store it up. It's exactly what they did when they were human.
So what are we supposed to get from all this? I mean, this whole story, this crazy transformation, it's all building up to a really powerful lesson. It's a cautionary tale for sure, with a pretty tough message about who we are deep down.
And here's the bottom line. The big moral of the story is this. You may punish a thief, but he will always remain a thief. Wow. The idea here is that you can change how someone looks, you can change their situation, but that doesn't mean you can change who they are on the inside. It's a pretty heavy thought, isn't it? That some habits, some parts of our nature are just so deep-seated they can survive anything, even a punishment from a god. And that really leaves you wondering, right? If a god can't change someone's core nature, what does that say about our own ability to change ourselves or others?